ever in my life keep your show. I've never done any webinar before, but I think this is a great idea to engage people, especially bookkeepers and accountants. You are so busy at your work, and this is a great way to chat with other bookkeeper and accountant in a different region, but they're doing the same work that you do. So that's the idea. I try to start this show. Hopefully I will do this weekly, every Friday for 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time. And every time we will have a different guest, talk about different topics about majority, how they are running their business and how they conquered all the barriers to become successful today. So let's get started. And for anybody who doesn't know me and Tanya, I will do a little bit introduction about myself first, and then I will pass on to Tanya to introduce herself. So my name is Jessie. I work for Intuit Canada. I've been working in this company for 4 years now. Super excited and very happy and love my job so far. And I used to work in the small business owner group, talking to all your clients, if you're a bookkeeper accountant, all the time for 2 years. And then unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2015. So I was off work for like 1 year and a half. And when I come back, I still doing the same job I love, which is before I was diagnosed, I was working with accountants and bookkeepers in East Ontario. That's how I met Tanya, right? That's how I started. And then after I come back from cancer treatment, I was transferred to British Columbia region. So I've been working with a lot of bookkeepers and accountants in BC, majority in Lower Mainland, and Kelowna and Golden, Invermere, Cranbrook. That's majorly all my cities. And so I'm super excited to share the story with each single one of you. We start from Tanya first, because I met Tanya 2 years ago, and I was the account manager for Tanya's bookkeeping business. She has completely blew my mind for the last couple of years, from the way she was to the way she's running her business right now. I cannot believe it's mission impossible, but she did it. So I just want everybody to get to know her. How did she do it, and why, and what's her plan for the future? She's very passionate about helping people. If you have any questions during this whole session, please feel free to type your question. We will have Leanne to collect all your questions. At the end, me and Tanya will answer all your questions at the event. So, Tanya, pass on to you. Why don't you introduce yourself for letting people know how did you start your business from way beginning?
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Well, I'm sure some of you do know me, and some of you may not know me yet, but I am Tanya Hills, founder of Cloud Bookkeeping Services and Tanya's Bookkeepers Bootcamp. I've been working with bookkeeping and income tax services since 1997. I've been working with QBO since 2012. I didn't really embrace QBO technology until 2014. I implemented value pricing in 2015, and because of that, I was able to triple my revenues within the first 12 months. I'm a 2016 Black Swan, sponsored by Intuit, and a new member of the Intuit Trainer Writer Network. As Jessie said, I love helping and giving back. I am only where I am today because of so many other people that have helped me, and great support from, you know, the IAMs, like Jessie and all the other IAMs. So they really do a really good job. Yay. And of course, it's, you know, my fellow bookkeepers, the ones who were in this before me. I'm still learning from, you know, some that are in it now. It's not an easy journey to get into the cloud. And that's why I really didn't embrace it for so long, until I had my aha moments, basically. Yeah, so that really made a difference.
can I ask when you just start your business, before you have your own business, were you working for the other firms, or did you have other different jobs?
No, I actually, this is my second career. Yeah, my background is I actually spent 17 years in the insurance industry. Yeah, right out of high school, right into insurance. And so I've always kind of dealt with things that people don't like to deal with because nobody likes insurance and nobody likes
insurance company. Oh my God.
Right. So when I was 25, I actually ended up with a position in a firm that's no longer around, and it was called Save Smart, and it was actually in the Walmart. So I actually knew the VP, and so they headhunted me over to take a broken office and fix it. I've always been great at workflow and taking things that are not working properly, like dealing with pain points. I've always been good with that. That's my forte. I love to do it. So they brought me into there, and they had a Liberty Tax office. So that's how I first got introduced into taxes.
Liberty Tax. I see.
Liberty Tax. So I had to learn. So Liberty Tax, they just franchised in there. But because I was the office manager, it was a small office. There was only 5 of us. But because I was the office manager, I had to know about taxes to be able to, in my opinion, I couldn't deal with anything until I knew about it. So that's when I started learning taxes. And that would have been in 97 when I started learning taxes. So most people learn bookkeeping and then taxes. I learned opposite. I was taxes first, which I think made the bookkeeping a lot easier because I already understood compliance. I set my chart of accounts up just like, the income tax and business forms on the income tax. And because I knew the compliance first, like I said, I think it made an easier transition into bookkeeping. Most definitely. So then I just kind of dabbled in it, just did things on the side until I had my daughter. And when I had my daughter, I chose not to go back into work. And so my husband said to me, you already are doing this. You're doing this all on the side on the small base. He says, why don't you just turn this into your own business, like a large business?
So you were working for the Liberty Tax and do all that in the office as the office manager?
No. It was Save Smart Insurance that I was the office manager at. We subbed out to Liberty Tax, so I had to learn that because, again, I managed over the Liberty Tax people. And then I left them and moved out west and went back to the same company. It was Liberty Mutual Insurance, which is now TD Insurance, that I was at. So I went back to there because when I went out west, the company I worked for, it was horrible. So I went back to my roots. And then they transferred me up to Barrie, which is how I got back to Ontario, and then that's when I had my daughter. So I was strictly insurance, but I did taxes on the side. So I had, a small base of less than 50 clients, friends, family. They started referring people over, but a really small base. I helped, help people with their bookkeeping, but it was really small. It was part-time business, not full-time at all. So it was just part-time income. Then when I had my daughter, my husband says, why don't you just do this? Because I didn't want to go back to work. Had the mat leaves have been shorter, I would have stayed home. But at 6.5 months, something happened, and I just said, no, I can't leave her. Excuse me, that's when I really started to pump it up, the bookkeeping and the income taxes. And that would have been in 2001 is when I really started to kind of go, okay, let's now really try to build this. But I still built it part-time, because the clientele in Barrie, at that point in time, I didn't really like the accountants I was meeting. I didn't like the clients I was meeting. So I trained most people to do their own bookkeeping. I did taxes, but I trained people to do their own bookkeeping. Now, of course, because I found I wasn't really making the revenue because I wasn't really pushing on the bookkeeping, and it was only seasonal for tax services, and excuse me, and a little bit of training. I actually worked for TELUS in their call center as well for 3 years.
Wow, you've done a lot.
I have. I just wanted a no-brainer job, something that I could just do. So it was customer service. So my background has always been customer service, and I really push that forth in what I do and every. And I think that makes a difference because it's very customer service focused. It's all about setting clients' expectations. And I really push that with the girls. It's, with the girls here, it's set their expectations. If you can't get back to them when you say you're going to, get back to them, touch base and say, you know what, sorry, I didn't get this done in time. I'll get back to you. Because again, unless you're dealing with government compliance, there's nothing that's really urgent, but it's all about setting expectations And because the customer service is pushed, that's really, I think, created a lot of loyalty for the clients. But anyway, so I worked with TELUS part-time until we moved here. So that was 3 to 4 years. And then when we moved here, I said, I can't work there because I couldn't commute to their office. There I worked part-time from home nights and weekends, and they paid benefits at $22 an hour. If you're going to pay me $22 an hour plus full benefits to work at home, 12 hours a week, I'll take it, right? It worked. It worked.
Nice.
But then
everybody
when we
wants
moved
to work
here,
from home.
I know, right? So it's been great. But when we moved here, I said, okay, I need to do something. So I thought I was going to lose all my tax clients. I had 300 tax clients built up at that point. I thought I was going to lose them. And when I started telling people I was going to move, they said, well, that's fine. They'll still stay with me. So this was really my first introduction into the cloud was when we moved here, which was 8 years ago now, because I started providing tax services virtually. So that worked out really well. So I do have a few tax clients that actually drive down.
Oh, I just changed it to a next one.
Oh, did you want it next? Okay. So I do have a few tax clients that actually do drive down to see me. A lot of them we do it virtually because honestly, it started off with what's better than being able to do your taxes without leaving your living room? Scan and send everything over. I mean, we can deal with everything by mail, by email. So that was really my first real introduction into the cloud. But then when we got here, I spent 1 year focusing on that. And I said, okay, now I need to actually really pump up the bookkeeping because I need to be able to make full-time wages because I didn't have TELUS to supplement it.
I remember at the beginning, when I first talked to you, you said you were working at your own basement, just started with your own full-time business. Before it was like half of the part-time you do the tax, still part-time you have to take care of your family, so you were not fully commit to just become a business owner at that point, right? You told me you are doing like 600 returns. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. 600 by yourself and no employees. I don't know how to do that.
Well, and that's, my first employee came out 1.5 years ago, and that was Leanne. And before that, I do have a friend who subcontracted for me over the years during tax season when things got really busy. But for the most part, it was me, and I had, my daughter still needed me to be around. I wanted to be able to, still be there for my nieces. We moved here for family. My sister lives 3 blocks away with her 2 girls. So I was the one that was more flexible. So I grabbed the kids from school. And so I wanted that flexibility. So I didn't want to commit full time, but it just kind of grew and grew and grew. So my daughter's 15 now, doesn't need me. And it's
that's good.
It is.
Paid off.
Absolutely. So, but I was able to grow, to do a nice grow. I didn't want to grow too quickly. I wanted to grow with a very good reputation. Is huge to me. So it was a much slower growth than some people might normally have, but it worked for my situation and it worked for what I want because it's I still don't have. A lot of people out there still haven't heard from me because I don't pay for advertising. I'm not in the phone book. It's all word of mouth, and it's been made by my connections over the years, right? And now with Leanne's connections now because Leanne joins me, and her background is not in bookkeeping. She was my very first QBO client, funnily enough, though.
So she was your client, and then you hired her to become your employee?
So, she's also family. So, she's also family. So there's, a much bigger connection with that. But she was my very first QBO client. And the business that she did at that point was in social media and marketing. So I was finally able to pull her over. I tried to entice her over a few times. I was finally able to 1.5 years ago. The timing just fit with everything, and I was finally able to entice her over, which of course has helped take my business to yet another level because she's got the experience in the marketing, the social media, the networking, whereas I don't. I'm not as comfortable going out and meeting new people in a sales situation, whereas she is, and that's her forte. So we really complement each other well. But also, I had trained her initially on QBO, so she already knew the way that I ran things. So it was a nice, easy transition, even though it's been a big learning curve for her. It's been a much easier transition than it would have been for anybody else. And of course, because we've known each other since I was 19, then we've always had a relationship. yeah, there's only 9 years difference between us, so we've always had more of, a friendship, a mentorship type relationship anyway. So it's worked really, really well.
So before you get Leon to help you, so on this slide, I think this sums up before you get somebody to help you, because back then you were only by yourself in the basement. You have to still take care of your husband and your daughter. And so I remember before I started working in the accountant channel at Intuit, most people, they don't know other bookkeepers. They don't know what else in the area, what other people do, and if there's a community, or if there's some other bookkeeper and the accountant need help, or somebody else maybe is more advanced than you can get help from. So I feel like in this slide we're showing right now is most people 2 years ago, actually, most bookkeeper and accountant just do their own thing. They don't really commute to each other because they don't know each other. So how did you feel when you were in your tax return, 600 of them every year? I know you always sleep late, and in the midnight 2 or 3 o'clock you still do your tax return. So how did you finally, what triggered you to, from that point, say, hey, I cannot do this anymore. I cannot do everything by myself. So how did you really, really change from that to now you have people to help you? I know it's hard to hire somebody qualified, actually satisfy what you need, right? So how did you do that?
Well, and what it is the first thing. So I started, of course, Nathan and Bogdan and Jessie and like yourself and the whole, but there's probably at least 6 or 7 of you guys that had kept trying to really get me over to QBO, but I kept resisting because I was using QBO like I was desktop. Tax season, you're right. At that point, I was at 600 returns a year. I did not sleep. I got sick every tax season, and of course, if I get sick, my lungs have not been good because of allergies. So when I get sick, it hangs on. And, then I was constantly always trying to catch up on all my desktop stuff. I was always behind on everything. People bringing to me at the end of every quarter. And I was working my life and my health downhill to meet other people's schedules and guidelines. And so that was the first thing that I realized. But of course, you're right. You don't know how to do it. And again, in this industry, there's not a lot of people. I did have, when I moved up here, there was 2 great bookkeepers that I connected with and that I started subcontracting work from and got to know each other. And it's funny because one of them never got into the cloud, and the other one is just attending her Intuit Connect for the first time. So it's funny that they were the first ones I connected with, yet they're so far behind coming over, and then the other one is just retired. But so they were the only ones that I really connected with. Otherwise, everybody else up here, it was the same thing. It was, your competition, you're this, you're that, or everybody's just working from home, so you don't have time to go out and meet anybody. And so I started, but again, I wasn't using it properly. I wasn't doing anything efficiently. It really didn't make a change in the way I ran my business. So Jenny Moore had actually onto the Intuit site, and I guess had taken a look through and had seen, okay, who is QBO? And I guess she reached out to everybody by email who is QBO, sent out an email saying, hey, I see we all do the same thing. I think it would be nice to get together. We're all in the same boat as a support group. I think Jenny had said that she probably reached out to about 20 some odd people. I think I heard the number.
Wow.
And she responded, and that was myself and Tamitha Deniers were the only ones that actually responded. So
really, how many people Jennifer Moore Fine from our website actually reach out?
Well, this is. I think it was like 20 some odd. I'm not exactly sure of the number. So we arranged a coffee meeting. Tamitha couldn't make it, but Tamitha and I had a very long conversation over the phone. Jenny and I met for coffee, and we said, "This is great. Let's do it again." A year later, the 2 of them became really good friends. I was still too busy to even meet anybody for lunch and sick and whatever, because it really didn't change anything that I did. So they reached out and they said, okay, it's been a year since we, did this. Tanya, you really need to come because this is ridiculous. So I said, fine, okay, let's go. So Jenny actually grabbed me by the hand, took me in. We were in, her backyard, took me in and actually showed me, here's QBO, here's how it integrates with the apps, and she showed me, Receipt Bank, and I don't think HubDoc was on the scene at that point. I've got her very new, but she showed me Receipt Bank. I remember she showed me WagePoint and, some things on QBO that I hadn't seen, and that's kind of when I had my aha moment. And I said, okay, great. So I came home, and again, it was almost, 8 months to a year before we even,
Wow.
met again. It's fun. It's
you
funny.
do take your time. Hello? I couldn't hear you. Hello? Uh-oh. Tanya, I cannot hear you now. Hello? Hello?
Tanya, we've lost your sound.
Tanya?
No, we can't hear you.
Oh, okay, I can hear you now.
Oh, what happened?
Okay. I don't know. All of a sudden, the go-to meeting started talking to my ear, and I've never had that before. So I don't know what happened. So I apologize, everybody.
Okay, yeah, okay. So, it's our first session.
Yeah, we'll just keep going.
Technical issue.
Joe's there. Joe says hi. Hi, Joe. He says hi, Tanya and Jessie.
So
anyway,
just continue before, and people more find you, and you take you 8 months to a year to actually go to meet them.
Well, yeah, so it took me about a year to meet them, and it took me 8 months after that before I even met them again for a second time, because I came home, I was so excited with what Jenny had showed me that I came home and I said, I need to know everything about this. So I didn't sleep because I'm used to not sleeping during tax season, and I learned everything about it. I'm a jump in, feet full, like just full force, break through the wall type of person. And that's what I did. I was so excited, and I needed to go while I was still excited and before I lost my excitement. So it took me 8 months to learn everything. I learned QBO. I took all of the classes. I got myself certified, advanced certified. I learned all the apps. I got myself app certified. I started learning value pricing, watched all of Ron Baker's webinars. Like I did, again, still from my basement, right? But I had to learn everything about it. So, yeah, I was like a dog with a bone. And, when I did, then I started, okay, now that I've learned everything, now let's start implementing some of these changes. Right. So it was a lot, it was a lot to learn.
At the beginning, you didn't even want to go to meet other people, just do your own thing. And I want to know what platform you are using. Do you use just QuickBooks Desktop, or do you use Sage or any other at the same time?
I have always only been an Intuit gal, always. Right back to before I was even bookkeeping, I used to use like Quicken, which is an old Intuit product, right? So I'm comfortable with that. And when I, did the taxes, I started on QuickTax, back, when I used to do my own taxes beforehand. So I've always been comfortable with the Intuit products because I know the layout. So yeah, I went straight into QuickBooks Desktop. And then I used QuickTax. At that point, it was before they tried to get me over to Profile, but again, I resisted because I don't like change very well. So I resisted, and I kept using the QuickTax. We could do QuickTax 100 back in those days. So I had 100 returns that I could do, and as long as the returns were under $25,000 a year, then they didn't count as one of my 100. So I had a lot of students and a lot of seniors that were under that 25, that 25,000, so they didn't take up my count. So I was always, if there's a way that I can do this as cheap as possible, but still do it with quality, I have found those ways.
So how many clients did you have in the QuickBooks Desktop?
Before I did the conversion, I probably only had about, 10 or 12. And yeah, 10 or 12, and some of those were annual ones that would bring to me annual. Some of them were quarterly. I didn't have anybody set up on a monthly. That's not true. I had 2 of them that were regular. One of them I go to their office every 2 weeks. The other one that I'm there once a month. And then, so I had 3 regular ones, and everybody else out of the 12 were just kind of all over the place, which is why
when you have those desktop customer, How did you charge them your service? Like, what's your price structure in desktop when you have those clients?
When I started at $20 an hour. So it was hourly.
$20.
It was $20 an
$20. That
hour.
was 2012.
2012, I probably upped myself to $25 an hour.
Oh my goodness.
So by 2012, I'd up myself a little bit. Yeah. So, but it wasn't much.
For
25 an hour. Yeah, per hour.
And that's for all your desktop customers?
Yep.
So when you charge them by hour, and you are doing all those books and the payroll on QuickBooks Accountant Premier Edition, right?
Yes.
So does your client know anything about what do you do at all? When you do everything on the desktop, you charge only $25 per hour. Do they think is something they can do, or? No, they didn't. Because they dropped off to me. They dropped off to me, and so some of them I had the QuickBooks copy here, some I used their copy in their offices. But no, they couldn't. They didn't even really know. I didn't pull the proper reports. They just, as long as everything was done for their taxes, that's all they cared about, and they could ask me questions here and there, and as long as I could give them the answers. But they weren't engaged. They weren't engaged at all. They had no idea what it was I was doing, why I was doing it, how it could help their business. It was none of that. So it's so for $25 per hour, do they think that's good value? That's pay too much, even $25, because they think it's maybe just a piece of cake, just drop you a bunch of paper, all the receipts, then you can just enter it. That's it. And they even think $25 might be too much to pay.
Some of them did. Some of them were like, and again, I've gone by referral. So some people were referred to me, and it was, for the most part, it was okay. This area, of course, does demand a little bit less than than Toronto would demand for an hourly wage. So it was okay. I did have some people say, no, that's too much. They only wanted to pay $15 an hour. But it was because, again, they didn't see the value in it. I was data entry. I was entering receipts that they felt any monkey can do type of thing, right? That, oh, no, anybody can do that. I can hire a monkey to do what you do. You don't need to think of what you do. You just need to enter it. And I did have somebody say that to me, that, oh, any monkey can do this. And my response was, well, then go ahead and hire a monkey. Like, I don't know what else. Like, great, go ahead. Go, hire, Mr. Bozo or whatever, and, pay him in bananas, like, whatever.
So how many hours do you spend for those clients winning on the desktop? So when you just have a desktop, you have those 12 to 15 clients on desktop, how many hours you spend actually for their book every month, roughly, average?
I don't know. That was so long ago, and I've honestly blocked that part. I've blocked that part of the history. So I probably, back then,
don't want to think about this.
I know. I mean, I was probably only billing, honestly, about $1,000 a month at most, I would say.
For all of them?
Yeah. Yeah, because again, some of them might have been quarterly, some of them were annually. They were my shoebox ones, right? So I was probably only billing about $1,000 a month in average, which is why I loved tax season. Because I'm like, great, I can make some money during tax season that'll carry me over for the rest of the year, right?
Yeah. So you have all those clients for years and years in desktop. How many years you work on desktop before you start using QBO?
I was working in desktop in 1997. Again, back in then, I chose not to. I had like one or two small clients. Otherwise, I taught people how to work in desktop back then. I taught them how to work in desktop and Excel to do their own books. But it wasn't until we moved here 8 years ago that I really started to actually like taking on actual bookkeeping clients. So
when you first started with hanging out with Jennifer Moore and Tamantha, they told you about QBO. I know it took you a while to get used to it because QBO and desktop, they are completely different. I say, somebody told me you shouldn't even call it a QB, whatever, because it's completely not QuickBooks in their mind, because QuickBooks desktop and QBO is completely separate stuff back then 2.5 years ago when you just started. So how did you make a decision, say, I maybe give it a try, and other than Jennifer Moore and Thomas, I told you, you still take another 8 months just to try to make a decision, right? So what point did you decide, okay, I'm going to commit to this? And why did you do that?
Well, I knew I was committing when I left Jenny's that day, which is why nobody saw me for the next 8 months, because I wanted to learn everything about it. So I knew I was committing. I knew it was a good thing. I just had to learn the tools. And I'm the type of person that unless everything is ready and I'm 100% good to go, I'm not going to introduce it into my business. So I needed to make sure that I had, my stable platform. I need to make sure that I knew it. I don't like to, to test on clients' accounts type of thing. So I worked on my own account, and I worked, and made sure that I got that set up while I still ran the other ones. And I didn't start actually changing clients over until 2014. So it would have been sometime in, 2014 when I started. So 2014 is when I started actually moving. So 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, is when I started moving my first clients, my first clients over to the workflow that I had now created for myself. I'm like, okay, it works. I've spent 8 months learning this stuff. It works. I like the way it works. Now I'm good to go and start moving people over. Because to me, if I'm moving, I don't want to move people over and do trial and error, because what if I mess up? What if the client, isn't satisfied? So I wanted to make sure that I had everything good before I started moving over. So it's only been 2.5 years.
How did you start to move a desktop customer? You do one by one?
I did one by one, and I just kind of started reaching out to them and saying, you know what, I really think that this is going to be good. Some of them really didn't care because they just dropped off to me. They had me to see the book, so they really didn't care how it was that I did it or what platform I used. So some of them didn't even know they were being changed over. I just basically, said, hey, I've got this new thing, and I can email your reports, and I can do this, and I can do that. So I just started engaging a little bit more. And some of them I did actually sit down and say, okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to suggest that we move you over. Not everybody liked it. A lot of people resisted.
I was curious, how did you start a conversation with the clients? Used to have years and years data with you in desktop, and suddenly you made a decision about your business has to go cloud. And then how did you even convince some of them to move to QBO? How did you do that?
Like I said, the ones that I did everything, they didn't care. They could care less one way or the other what I used. So I ended up basically, I just ate the difference on their $10 a month or whatever for their software. Their software charged at first just to be able to get in and to be able to use it. Then when they kind of saw the benefits, I said, okay, now yes. So now here this is, we're gonna leave it here, and here's the cost. I just charge them the wholesale cost. At that point, it'll be added onto your bill. Are you agreeable to this? And they said yes, because at that point they had seen the benefits in some of the things that I've been sending.
So
like
how much
the reports,
time,
and that I could access it.
How much time you have to spend with a client when you start conversation? Hey, I want to transfer my model from here to there, and this is the price agreement from the future for your service. This is my new agreement. How long does it take to actually convince the customer to accept it?
Well, what I found is that some of my clients were like, yeah, no, I like the way that it was now. I don't care what software you use, but I just bill me hourly. So I still do have 2 hourly billed clients because they just, they're some of my old clients. They've been with me since the beginning. The loyalty is worth more to me than forcing them over. However, the other existing clients, what I found is that, again, now trying to change them to the value pricing was not an easy conversation because my hourly rate was basically going up. So what I did is I sat down and I said, okay, my existing clients, let's just take the total amount that that I've billed them in the last year, add it together, divide by 12, and I give myself a 10% bump. And so I presented them with that. And that they were okay on. And so now every year I just up them by, like 5% or whatever, and that they're okay with. They were okay with that. So to go in equal billing. So it was more an equal billing versus value price. But I found that was the way that I needed to do that to be able to keep those existing clients. So some of them I didn't want to keep as I brought on new clients. So everybody knew I only quoted on the value system. I only quoted them value price. I only quoted them QBO. I told them flat out, I only support QBO.
So how many clients you actually lost after you transform your complete model to QBO cloud-based bookkeeping? How many clients you actually lost?
I've lost 2 because they didn't like this. They say they didn't like the system, but I don't think it was set for them anyway. They were the ones when I still was bringing on when I thought when I just needed more money. I wasn't as selective as who I brought on in the process back then. So I did lose 2 for that, which is fine. And then I myself fired or got rid of Vitality. I'm not supporting it anymore. Yes, I got rid of about another 4 or 5, I think, but not until I had the income replaced. So once I had the income replaced, I let them go. And that wasn't until actually I started mentoring with Ron Baker. And Ron said, he says there's 80-20. He says 80% of your income comes from 20% of your clients. Go home, work it out. You need to start firing people. And
so that's how you fire your client you think is no longer fit your direction of your business to go. So you fire them, and 2 of them, they don't like it. So after you have all the conversation, how long does it take for you to find the new client, which is the one fit into your new business model? How long does it take for you to find a new qualified, more profitable client?
Until Leanne came on board, and of course we've still been doing some restructuring this year, I really only brought on about 5 or 6 clients a year. So because again, I don't pay for advertising, I am not as visual out there, and it was all by word of mouth and referrals with the relationships that I built up in town with either my existing clients or with some of the bookkeepers or accountants that I dealt with and reached out to. So I didn't take, I really, didn't take on a lot. I closed, 90% of my quotes I closed. But it's, again, I wasn't really looking because I was still trying to work with things. I don't want to take on too much work, and I did get a lot of backup, a lot of catch-up work involved. Now our process is very different. So now Leanne is the one who does the networking. Again, we don't put a lot of money into advertising, but she goes out and she's part of like the Women's Sales and Networking. She's part of the Chamber of Commerce, so we do pay for those memberships. She uses Alignable, which is something that she just had a great coffee meeting this week or something. So we use a lot of that, and she's out in the community, spends so much time just sitting down and forging relationships with people in the community. So those types of things, they take longer for us to get the sales because we have to really build it. But now we're starting to get to the point where now that she's spent, the last year out there working, we're getting stuff coming through the door. We're quitting 3 this week alone. Out of the 3 that we're quitting this week, we're like 2 of them, we're very sure that they're down pat. So we're having those meetings next week. But it's a very selective process. Now we have questionnaires that we have them fill out. We spend more time talking to them and these questions I've come up with to make sure that we feel that they'll be a good fit for our processes and for us personality-wise. Because now I've got the experience and I know the type of personality that I want to deal with. Do I want them as a client, or are they going to be more trouble than they're worth? So I am selective, and I have sent people away, or I quote them too high, or I refer them to somebody else and say, you know what, I can't meet your needs, so maybe this person can. So,
these slides, I want to talk about more about, this is Tanya's office before in the basement.
That's not my real office, but yeah. It looks something like that.
Yeah. So this is all you by yourself doing your 600 tax return, owning the QuickBooks desktop customers. This is part of work for you. So this is at the point you already transition. And the next one I want to see is, this is how you figure out. I want to spend a lot of time about how did you figure out the value pricing Excel sheet. I know Ron Baker is your mentor. I know at the beginning when we just started the Facebook group QBO in Quinty, not so many people in there, just me, Jennifer Moore, Tamanda, and then you come in later. But Ron Baker was coaching you one-on-one in the group. So even after that, I read the book as well, and I watched some videos. I still couldn't understand how I could practically implement that in the day-to-day business to
Right.
actually close to the client. So how did you, I know at the beginning you take you like 8 months to even think about how to move from desktop to QBO, learn all the program, and how long does it take for you to figure out this Excel sheet based on Ron Baker's theory?
Well, so part of that 8 months was learning value pricing as well. So, so like I said, yeah, so that 8 months, there was a lot of learning. So I learned the value pricing. Now, that was before I got the mentorship with Ron as well, because I'd watched all of his videos. I'd watched Mark Wickerson's videos. I'd watched like Seth David's videos, and like not one gave me everything that I needed. I read Ron's books. Now, the way I do it is not the way that Ron necessarily agrees with, but he also agrees that, you know, everybody is different. Like, he doesn't agree that there's a formula. I am a formula person. I needed a formula. So again, like I say, I watched all these videos out there from all of these other people, and I kind of sat back and I said, okay, how can I do this? And so I pulled a little bit from a bunch of areas and pulled it together and said, okay, this is it. So what do we need to take to look at? We need to look at. So I'd already been using my template before the mentorship program, but it's funny. So it's okay. So how do you count your hours? You've got to be able to count your hours somewhere. So you still have to be able to do that. I can't just look at a pile of paperwork and say, oh, I think this is how long it should take me. Some people can quote like that. I can't. You know, you've got to add in the cost of the apps. I don't want to make money off the app, so I just put in the wholesale cost of the apps, because if I'm going to lose a client, I don't want to lose them over the cost of the apps. But you have to account for that in your additional services. So you know, and again, just watching, I think I watched Ron's video series with Intuit about 5 or 6 times. And Ron and I had several conversations as well before I'd even entered the Black Swan program. So it was really exciting to be able to get in and help me fine-tune the processes. I found out that, you know what, I was on the right track, fine-tune processes, and he helped me immensely with a lot of it, because I was still undervaluing myself. Like he says, if 100% of the people are signing up, you're doing something wrong. And yeah, and it was very true. It was very true. I was underpricing myself dramatically, underpricing myself. But with some of those clients, with the leaps and strides that QBO has made, I've been able to go in and automate a lot of processes to help make up for all of that, so that I am actually making profit off it. But yeah, like I say, those ones, I've still kept them. If they're good clients, I've still kept them on, and I just, you know, up them by, you know, again, 5% a year or whatever. I sit down and figure it out, and if there's no real changes, but otherwise, again, the new people, I'm quoting with my new rates, right, with the new my proper value pricing.
So how did you, so when you have your Excel sheet based on whatever service you provide, based on QBO and apps, so how hard was the conversation when you start bringing this to your existing customers? I know the new clients, you can just start fresh. This is how I do things.
Right.
If you don't agree, then I'm not your bookkeeper. But for existing clients, you've been working for years and years. When you bring this Excel sheet, calculate your package, how hard the conversation was to actually get them to on board.
And it was a difficult conversation when I started having them, before I realized that's not the route I wanted to go. The route that I felt was best with them was, again, just transfer them over to QBO and take their average monthly billing and divide by 12. That was how I did that. And then, like I say, I was able to implement, I just, again, through the cost of the software, and with that, then I was able to implement a lot of the efficiencies, which saved me time. So again, I'm still making money. So a client I might have been billing 4 hours a month on, I'm now billing them their same average, but I'm only actually working 2 hours a month on. So it's worked out in the wash. Yeah, it's worked out in the wash because of the efficiencies I've been able to put into place.
So I see. So even though the client feels like money-wise, all the money total add together per year, they actually pay you roughly maybe a little bit higher, but it's acceptable. But you work a lot less than before. So that adds to you making more money, because so for example, you work like 40 hours for this client, per week. Now you only work maybe 15 hours to do the same work.
Exactly. So like I say, I'm still happy with that. I've got a higher profit margin on the new clients that I'm quoting and bringing in because I'm quoting them differently on the value pricing. So there's a higher profit margin, but it's still working fine because, again, it's loyalty. You know, I've still got those clients' loyalty. I've got great client relationships with them. They've been around for a long time. So to me, it was worth it. Like, you know, the dollar is not everything. It's not everything.
Yeah.
So to me, you know what? I'm working, you know, 2 hours less, making the same amount of money. They're still happy. I'm happy. Everybody's happy. So
yeah. So I just want to know more about now you already transitioned mostly clients. How many clients on QBO right now? How many clients still have to use desktop because the limitation of the functionality?
I have 2 that are still in desktop because of the limited functionality, and I still support them. But otherwise, everybody's QBO. And again, these are, you know, my longtime clients, and so I'm making an exception for them. Anybody new that comes in, if they're QBO QB desktop, I refer them to somebody else. I am not interested at all.
So how many clients you have total right now includes all the QBO clients and the desktop clients now you support?
Everybody in total, if we look at even the annual ones that maybe like 6 to 10 hours a year, everything, I'm probably looking at maybe 50 to 60 because of my annual ones. I still do my annual ones on desktop. So maybe 60. Okay. Because, so my annual ones, like, again, my shoebox ones that do it for tax, need it for tax purposes. But, they just bring, and again, it's 6 hours all at once, 6 to 10 hours all at once. It's not worth it. I still run them in desktop. So, probably 50 to 60 in total if we look at them.
Okay. The other thing is, do you still have the tax at the same time you do those 60 clients for bookkeeping? At the same time, do you still prepare tax returns?
Yep. I do. We are not taking on new clients, but we do. Last year and this year I thought about not, but what we're doing for this next tax season is we're actually just going to train Leanne and Barb so that they'll be doing the easier ones. And but no, we're still doing taxes. It's
Wow,
I mean, some of these tax clients,
quite an increase of the client base. I remember when you use desktop QuickBooks only, it was roughly about 12 to 15 clients. Now you're supporting 60 QBO clients and tax return you do in the same time, right?
Yep.
So if you don't mind, I ask you roughly the revenue-wise for your business, for profitable, compared with before, just give us a roughly idea about before is how much per year and how much per year right now. Just roughly ideas, give us some kind of imagination.
Okay. Sure. Okay. So now keep in mind that this has been a high expense year. We've hired a new employee. I've renovated my garage, so we're now working out of the garage, a proper office, a separate door. So this has been a really high expense year. But if we look at 2 years ago, I was roughly 45 in revenues, 45,000. This year, if we're on track, now I also now do training. I train people on QuickBooks Online as well, so I'm not just doing the bookkeeping. So we've got training that we do. With my training, I bill out at a much higher cost than I do. So this is all revenue incomes all together. We're probably going to hit almost 200,000 in revenues this year.
Can I become your employee? I have your salesperson. I hire more new clients.
This year, I'm not pulling any. This year, Leanne's making more than I am this year because I'm paying for a whole bunch of stuff, right?
Oh.
So, and of course, if you want good employees, you've got to pay them a lot. My subscriptions, like my QuickBooks bill is like QuickBooks and HubDoc, I pay over $1,000 a month just from those. So my costs have dramatically increased. But as of next year, we should have it that we're running at a 40. Leanne might be she's a budgeter, she'll be able to better answer this.
Yeah.
I think that we should be running at like 40%. 40% should be profit, I think. I don't know. She's got everything all worked out. But so like this year, at the end of the year, I'm pulling in the same profit, like my same net profit that I did last year and the year before. So my portion has not increased, but I'm investing it back into the business. And this was, like I say, this was like the last big, huge year. And I think we're just going to be settling in nicely to where we are, just with the three of us. I don't think I really want to grow beyond here at this point. And we've got, a nice balance of, the taxes and the training and the bookkeeping and consulting services and.
So this is the background of your camera right now. Is that your new office? You move out from your basement to the garage?
Here, let me give you a quick little tour. That's Barb in the back. So I can't take it too much. So there's Barb's desk. There's a little watch there that you can kind of see at the front. So tax clients, they come in, they sign there, and there's a big picture. So Leanne's kind of the opposite. Here's my desk. So we had the furniture custom made. So Leanne's on the other side of the cork board. That's her desk.
She's helping us.
Well, she's not there now. She's actually outside because we get feedback. But that's her desk. So her desk and my desk are exactly the same. There's my lunch, my oranges, and then there's my client sitting. And there's my picture. Oh, can I?
Oh, I see.
There.
A beach.
My beach picture.
Nice. Nice.
And
so
this is great. And I've got
this is great.
door.
I love your new office. So
and then there's
tell me about
my certificate.
Tell me
my
about
certificates and my diamond one's going there too. When Abby brings it up, it's going up on that wall.
Hey,
he knows
Abby,
what I'm talking about.
Hear that? You need to deliver the certification.
We already talked about that. We already talked about that today. So finally, he's going to hand deliver.
Okay, I want to have a basic idea about your current business. What exactly is your day-to-day business, and what's your plan you want to do in the future? So what are you doing right now to generate more revenue, even more for your business?
Okay, so so we've got everybody here has their own structure. So I do the training because I bill the training out at like $150 an hour. So that I do the training for clients, and I do year end. So I kind of do the higher senior level stuff. And again, I don't go out and meet people because I'm not comfortable with that, with the sales avenue. Barb is part-time, so she's still learning. Once we get her going full-time, she'll be doing the day-to-day processing, like the HubDoc, the bank feed. So she'll be doing the more junior stuff because she's the newer and just a recent graduate from the accounting program 2 years ago. And then Leanne will be doing so she does the networking, she does the coffee meetings, she brings people in. Then once she gets them in, then we both sit down, meet them to give them quotes and whatnot. She will really do the onboarding process and the writing, like the SOPs, because that's what she excels at. So what we're trying to do is trying to find what are people's niches. I love training. Barb likes hiding from people, just doing back-end data entry stuff, and Leanne likes networking and setting up SOPs. So we're trying to, and of course you need to be doing the onboarding. So Leanne and I will work together with the onboarding to again, I'll do the basic setup, but she'll work with the processes of it as well, and then she's started doing some training as well. We're just basically trying to work with what each of our strengths are and what we enjoy doing. And then with that, like I say, Leanne's out. She's very visible in the community. We hold free seminars monthly. She does one of them, which is because our niche, I guess, if we have a niche, is small startups or entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. We like to call them, or the self-employed. That's really our niche. So with them, Leanne holds monthly meetings, monthly seminars to give them free tips on how to properly organize their books, how to get their taxes. So she does that. So she gets people generated from that, whether it be they want some training out of it, or whether they just want to, some training and a little bit of QuickBooks support, or if they want a little bit more. But their business, my philosophy is if we support them when they're small, as their business grows, they're going to still support us. So if they just want training, I've got a DIY training package. It's $500, and then I'll sell them their QuickBooks, and then we try to do a little bit of support, right? So I find a lot of people are after the big fish. We're going after the little fish and working with them and helping them become bigger fish, right? So we do that. Right now we're doing minimum wage seminars every 2 weeks on the whole minimum wage. What's the real impact? And we're challenging small businesses to bring their employees, and we actually go through, here's how it's going to impact, here are the businesses that have already put their prices up, here's, what we're expecting, people might be out of work, because of this, and real things that we're seeing really happening in the community. And we're actually working on tax scenarios that as the government has it put through without them doing anything else to, raise the basic tax exemption limits and all of this, what's the real impact to your pocket? And people are surprised to find out that they're now having to pay more taxes. They're getting cut off on their subsidies. They're getting less money coming in. And so because of that, the government makes, on one scenario, the government makes $8,000 off a family out of this whole, and they end up, because they're having to pay more on all of these things, they only, they're like $2,000 less a year that they have to spend on things. So we've actually worked out real scenarios. So because of this, and we're doing these free, and we're not trying to, it's not a hard sales sell, because again, I don't want to go in and do a hard sales sell and lead. It's not like that either. So people are seeing that, hey, we're the experts in the community. So we might not get business out of them immediately, but because they see we're helping the community, we're giving back to the community, sure enough, when it comes time, they're calling us. They're absolutely calling us. So, and these are the people that are, when they see that and they see the value, we were actually able to increase our closing percentage by, again, being more choosy, and we're picking those people that have a focus on value, not just on the dollar amount. So those ones that have a higher focus on the dollar amount, we're just cutting them off. We're just, we can just say, you know what, I don't think we're going to be the right fit for you, or whatever. I mean, it depends. If they're great people and they can't afford a lot, then great. You know what, we're still going to help them. We're still going to help them grow their business. So it's again, it's not all about that, but we're getting a different caliber of people contacting us now. The Chamber of Commerce, because the Chamber sees that we're so active, they're starting to refer people to us, and there's many long-term Chamber of Commerce members of large bookkeeping firms, and they're referring to us just simply because of that, so yeah. Well, I just signed a $10,000 deal that came from the Chamber of Commerce on Friday. And it's just strictly from being out there, and like I say, the caliber coming in is very different. So it's taken some time with Leanne to go out and actually place herself and have people see her as that in the community, but it's coming back, twofold.
So basically, you have hired Leanne, not only part of helping you do a day-to-day work, you actually get her to be more sales and marketing, to go out to meet people, to be social, to connect with other people. So this is bring you more business, basically.
Right.
Instead of just sitting at home, do your own thing, you get Leanne to actually go out to be your recruiter.
Exactly, and she has so many coffee meetings a week that she likes to set up, and building our own little network. So she's very visible with that. She still does the bookkeeping. She's got to learn how to do that. She's got the clients. She's trying to get, our clients that before we pass them over to Barb, we want to make sure that they've got a really good, tight process, and then pass them over to Barb, get Barb to train them. So again, we each have our thing, but yeah, she's the one, she does the sales. So she gets commissions too on top of her salary, because I can't pay her what I know I can't afford to pay her what she's worth yet. So yeah, she gets commissions on that too. So
wow, that's quite a ride from beginning to now. I know your story very well. I just so excited every time I hear over again. It's very inspirational. So thank you. Really, really tell us all your story, and really, really give us idea how a bookkeeper can do a lot more if they connect with other bookkeepers in the same industry and start to network, start to talk about their pain points, start to find other people can help them. That's really, really great advice.
Well, and you know what, and like I said, I've learned a lot from other people. And I'm happy to give back, because, I learned from other people, and this is where, I guess we've got, the good Facebook groups. We've got, you and I are both admins on the QBO and Quinty, and that's an amazing group. Yeah. We've got some amazing admins with some great experience, and that's focused, mostly on QBO. I've just started another Facebook group, or that I'm an admin on, Bookkeeper's Corner, which is the difference is, it's not focused on QBO. It's kind of like those other, the SAGE people and some people that might need general advice and general help, but they're not QBO. And you know what? Hey, if we can get some of them converted to QBO while we're there, when they see, if they say, oh, well, SAGE doesn't do that, but QBO could do this, I mean, hey, we can get some more people out of it, and that's awesome. So,
okay, we're running
it's all about giving back.
a little bit over time. We're running a little bit over time. Yeah, I just want to see if Leanne can tell us if anybody has any questions about Tanya.
Well, we have some good conversation going in the comments there. So Abby actually asked, what is the one major functionality that stops clients from switching from desktop to QBO? And we've had a couple of answers from Juliet and Nancy saying that a lot of times it's accountants are asking them not to make the switch. But I don't know if you have any other thoughts on that, Tanya.
I completely agree with them that a lot of time it's the accountants, because the accountants don't understand how to work with QBO. So because they think it's broken. It's not broken. It just is a different mindset. It's a different language. It's a different animal, right? Sometimes it's people are afraid of change. I don't like change. I am the last person to like change. Obviously, it took me so long to get over here. David, what accept change? When I finally accept it, I embrace it and go full force. But a lot of people don't accept. Oh, it's cutting me off again, sorry. But so there's that. Some people are, it's the software cost or the learning curve. We get that a lot as well too. They don't like the thought of paying for prescription software. They don't like the thought of owning it, or that they can't own it and have access to it on their desktop. So, you just have to kind of sell them on the positive points. There's always a backup. If your computer crashes, you can walk over to the library and pick up and start working immediately. You can work from your phone. You can be more mobile. But a lot of the times it's the older ones that don't adapt well to change, I find, that are the most resistive. So I don't know, Jessie, yourself or Leanne, if you've got anything else to add, or if anyone else does.
Well, I find about most people who adopt to QBO and whatever, any other cloud, even FreshBooks, Wave, and Xero, most people who are early adopters, they are actually the bookkeepers.
Yeah.
The accountants, they are more a group of more resistant than bookkeeper. I guess because most accounting firms, they do not do day-to-day bookkeeping. This is not their major focus. Secondly, they are so used to the bookkeeper get everything perfectly printed out exactly the way they want it. So they've been lazy just to figure, why should I even bother? My bookkeeper will do everything for me. That's what I feel.
Yep. No, and you're right. They use different software. They're not in a day-to-day. So it's a learning curve with them, I think. And yeah, no, you're right. I agree with that too.
So Leanne, do we have any other questions so far?
No, there doesn't seem to be any other questions today, but Nancy says, thank you for sharing, Tanya. Very inspiring.
Oh, that's nice. So, if we have no questions, I just want to show this page about Tanya, what she's doing right now. She's running a boot camp to coach bookkeepers and other startup owner wants to become a bookkeeper. So you can check out with her webpage to see if something can help you.
Yeah, so it's on workflows. It's actually, because it's I don't want to, this part of it, the boot camp, I don't want to teach people bookkeeping. I don't want to teach them software. I expect them to know their tools and to know how to do their job, basically. This is all in workflow. So it's the efficiencies there's efficiencies that, like I said, I've been able to pull into, like everything is automated. I've taken advantage of minimal software. I don't have a lot of software other than QBO and HubDoc. They're my main costs, but I don't have a lot of software. So I've been able to work with a minimal budget to be able to maximize and automate so many processes that literally it has saved us probably 10 to 12 hours a week, on top of already the savings that QBO has been able to bring out, so that we can, or maybe 10 to 12 hours a month, actually, probably not a week. That would include the QBO ones. But it's been enable us to then turn around and, get our money faster and spend more time with those clients, or go out and bring more clients on, or spend more time on the beach, or whatever. So it's all about the efficiencies. Because as I said, even back in my previous life, I've always been an efficiency expert. So Sherry Lee Mathers said to me at one point, she says, I need to actually call it logistics. It's all I'm dealing with workflow and logistics. Because I've had so many people ask me, is this anything like the mentorship program? It is not. The mentorship program is amazing. Jenny and Juliet both do that. And if somebody is looking at that, it's new to the cloud, absolutely. It's a great course. This is nothing even remotely the same. It's on workflows, your existing internal workflows.
Okay. So how to qualify? So how to qualify in order to become even get involved to your boot camp? Because the people, if they just started, they don't know anything about it, may not be a good fit, for my understanding so far. So
absolutely, and I have sent people to look at Juliet's and at Jenny's, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a minimum of 2 years bookkeeping and a minimum of 1 year in the cloud. Because again, you need to know your processes, but it's also very fast-paced, so you need to be able to have time to commit, and there is homework to do, and I'm going to help them implement all these changes. You're going to have the blueprint. You'll be able to copy and paste, anything that you want to use, but it's you really need to be ready. So both Leanne and I actually spend time talking to the person and making sure we can help them, because I want to be able to say I've got a 100% success rate. And if somebody is not in the right mind frame, then this isn't for them, and maybe they need to look at, again, Jenny's or Juliet's, and because each one of us is something very different for very different people. And I'm sure Juliet will, if she's still on here, she'll say the exact same thing. What she offers is very different than the mentorship program, which is very different from here. It's different people and what they're looking for, right? So
I heard you are coming to IPBC just 2 weeks now. So
I know.
IPBC, are you doing something at IPBC to present, or gonna meet people there?
We're going to be there. Definitely, I'm bringing the whole team. I think it's important that Leanne and Barb get out and see what everything is like. So we're going to be there. We're bringing stickers for boot camp, and we're going to have some Twitter contests going on. So absolutely stay informed for that. But we're not there as an official vendor, and I think I am going to be up on stage at one point, very briefly. Well, one with the Black Swans. First off, I'm going to be doing a session with Ron Baker and the Black Swans as to how that changed everything. And then I think Scott Sanderberg's asked 10 minutes and kind of talk about, again, some things like my aha moments, what's really made a difference, and what my aha moments were.
Okay, so let's wrap up for today. And this page shows all the contact info for Tanya and myself. So we are going to post this recording on Tanya's website, and also I will create a YouTube link for this recording for anybody who might want to rewatch it, or you want to share to your friends or business associates you think they might benefit from this session. So feel free to join the Facebook group, which is QBO in Quinty. So I am one of the admin, and Tanya is one of the admin as well. And we have a lot of people just coming to get advices. We just passed the 1,000 membership today, so we have more than 1,000 members now. Yay!
I know, that's so exciting for QBO and Quinty. My gosh, that's awesome.
At the beginning, I remember only 3 members: me, Jennifer Moore, and Tamanta. Tanya was not even there at the beginning. She was like, I don't want to even bother. I was doing okay with my desktop and my tax return, 600 returns. I'm doing fine. I don't want to do anything about this. Why should I go meet people to talk about that? Not my business.
Yep. No, for sure.
Right.
But no, that's great. 1,000 members. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, so, you guys, you and Jenny and Tamitha, great idea with that, and it's a great community.
So I think this is it for today, and a little bit heads up. Next Friday, same time, 3 to 4 p.m. September 15th, we have another guest to talk about another journey about their business. So stay tuned. I will post the information on social media. So if anybody interested, please call me or email me or find me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place.
Awesome. Yes,
All
and
right.
I can't wait to see the next one and hear everybody else's story. That's great. I love this. This is a great idea, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And Julie actually just there's a few notes. So I want to say, Nancy says thank you so much, Jessie and Tanya, and Julie says thank you for putting this on, Jessie, and wonderful to hear your story again, Tanya. Thanks, Julie. Each time I hear it, I gain more insight into your success, and hopefully with these, Jessie, that you'll be able to again have different people sharing their stories, and hopefully it can help a lot more other people out there to be able to achieve the same successes, right? So I think that's your goal from this. And
so my major goal is make this chat as a regular routine every week. So different people have a different story. Maybe next time you can come back, Tanya, talk about some other major workflow you are already implemented with your clients. So we want to do this virtual chat for all the people, just in case they have any further questions they haven't think about today, but they might have some questions where they are doing the transitioning at the same time. So stay tuned, everybody. We will keep doing this every week, every Friday. It's our talk show from now on.
Awesome. Great. Perfect.
All right. Thank you, Tanya. And this is it. You can stop recording now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jessie. I'm very honored to have been asked and to be your first one. Mind you, it was just calendar-wise that it worked out that way, but but that's great.
We
did
it.
Perfect.
Yay!
Yay! Awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much again, everybody, for attending, and thanks again, Jessie, for having me.
Okay, so send me a recording afterwards, and so I can post it.
Absolutely. I'll get that. I'll get it off sometime this evening. It takes a little while to convert.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, guys. Take
care.
Bye. See y'all at IPBC. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.